Yin Peng and I will be the presenter for this group assignment. We are from group 11. First, let me introduce you to our group members. We have 8 group members. Let's get into the first question. Question A. Define market equilibrium, average cost and marginal cost. For market equilibrium is when the quantity supplied equals to the quantity demand. When the market equilibrium is achieved, there will be no more tendency of the price to increase or decrease. In another word, it means that the market equilibrium is when the buyers are willing to buy the goods and services and simultaneously the sellers are willing to sell their goods and services. Market equilibrium is a stability point and it determines the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity to ensure the maximum efficiency of the market and to ensure there is no surplus and shortage. Average cost is also known as per unit total cost. Average cost is defined as the total per unit of output. It calculates the average cost of each unit produced. It is important for a firm to calculate the average cost as it affects the profit and losses of the firm. The firm will determine their product pricing by referring to the average cost. The formula to calculate average cost is as shown in the slide here. Total cost divided by the quantity of the product produced. Next, for the marginal cost is the additional cost resulting from producing an additional unit of output. Marginal cost will affect the change in the total cost when another extra unit of output is produced. Marginal cost is obtained by calculating the change in the total cost as a result of a change in the total output. A wise producer will try to maximize the profit and produce up to the point where the marginal cost is equals to the marginal revenue. In producing a product, the producer will focus more on the variable costs more than the fixed costs. It is because the fixed cost is constant regardless of how many product is produced. Hence, the higher production level leads to a lower fixed cost as per unit. The total is allocated over more units. For variable cost, it depends on the production level. Hence, the more unit is produced, the higher the variable cost. The formula to calculate the marginal cost is by taking the change in the total cost divided by the change in the output quantity. However, if the cost function C is continuous and differentiable, the marginal cost, which is the MC, is the first derivative of the cost function with respect to the output quantity Q. Next, for question B, find the average cost function. The formula to find the average cost is to take the total cost divided by X. So here we take the total cost that we get from the question, which is 400 plus 20x, and we take this as the total cost and we divide it by the x. and we cancel the x and we get the next step, which is 400 over x plus 20, and we change the 400 over x into the exponential form. We get the 400x to the power of -1 plus 20 as the average cost function. Part C is a limit question, and we can get the average cost function from part B. To find the value of the average cost as x approaching infinity, we substitute the infinite into the x of the average cost function. The calculation is shown in the slide here. From the limit calculation here, it can be concluded that $20 is the limit to the average cost function as x approaches infinity. The average cost function approaches $20. As a wise producer want to earn profit, the producer will set the price higher than $20, the maximum average cost, in order to earn the profit. However, the $20 here is just solely the maximum average cost of the product. If the producer wants more profit, the actual selling price of the product needs to be higher than $20. For question D, question D is a graph sketching question. This question asks us to sketch the graph of the average cost function. Our average cost function is 400x to the power of -1 plus 20. When we want to draw the graph, we compare this function to the linear equation formula, which is y equals to mx plus c. So let's look into the 400x to the power of -1 first. We can see that the 400 is actually equals to the m in the linear equation formula. And the m is the steepness of the curve. And then next, x to the power of -1. If we convert the x to the power of -1 into a fraction form, we get 1 over x. 1 over x, if we compare to the normal graph of the 1 over x as shown here, actually the 1 over x graph, the curve exists at the quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. But in this question, x is unit. Unit is always positive, so we only take the curve at the quadrant 1. For the plus 20 at the back, the plus 20 is the y-asymptote. The y-asymptote of 20 means that the curve will approach 20, but it will never touch 20, and it tends to infinity. For question E, find the marginal average cost function. In order to find the marginal average cost function, we use the method of finding the first derivative of the average cost function. In order to do the first derivative, we take the power of -1 here, -1, and we times the power of -1 to the 400 in front here. For the 20 at the back, when we do the first derivative of a number without x, it will be cancelled. For the last question, question F, what are the economic implications of our result from C and E? From part E, we get that the marginal average cost function is a -400x to the power of -2. It is less than 0. So the average cost is decreasing. From part C, we get that as x approaches infinity, the average cost function approaches $20. So the average cost is decreasing to $20. That is all for our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And below here is the screenshot of our discussion of workload distribution, allocate work among the group members, and lastly, we help each other when some of our members encounter difficulties. Thank you.